you see our building blocks to a $600,000 to $650,000 price, and perhaps $1 to $1.5 million price by 2030. We think most people in the world, at the very least, should have some of their assets in Bitcoin as an insurance policy.
Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Invest, shares her positive outlook for Bitcoin and the Federal Reserve in today's talk. Wood also talks about what the market does well and what it could do better. She makes a point of saying that Bitcoin is competing with standard finance and other asset classes. This makes her one of the most important institutional supporters of Bitcoin. Wood says that she is still optimistic about the future of Bitcoin by saying that each coin is worth at least $600,000. She is sure that Bitcoin will change the way money is handled and points out all the different ways it can be used. Since ARK Invest has been closely following the C500's performance over the past few years, Wood is aware of the problems that come with a long and difficult stock market bear market. She also thinks that governmental issues will be very important in the last few months of 2023. In the course of the interview, Cathie Wood gives a broad outlook for the stock market and talks about how she thinks Bitcoin will move towards $600,000. The chat should give us useful information about Wood's thoughts on how the financial world is changing and what Bitcoin's role is in that bigger picture. Listen to find out more about what Wood thinks about the future of money and Bitcoin's possible future. One thing that these organizations do is they tiptoe in. First they move up to 1, then to 2, and finally to 5. I believe the base case is 2.5 in this case. It usually stays between 5 and 6% when there is a new asset class. This took place in real estate. In many institutional funds, it's now much more than 6 for private equity and venture capital. All of the emerging countries were affected by it. Because of this, I believe that one is very conservative. If you look at the bank sheets of Tesla Square, they show that they have Bitcoin on them. But we are very careful about what we assume. I also believe that 2.5 of all cash and cash equivalents held by corporations are in Bitcoin. The chance of a bull case is 5. If we're right, and it becomes clear that Bitcoin has more value as time goes on, meaning that it goes up in value against cash dollars, instead of staying about the same or going down in value, then more and more corporate treasuries will be adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. In fact, the experts will begin to question them. Why do you have 95% of your money in something that is losing value when you could put it into something that is worth more? Like Bitcoin? Also, money sent back home is a very big market. We think that 10 of remittances will be in the base case and that 25 will be instantaneous with no or few fees compared to 8 fees when workers send money back to their home countries. Government bonds with a yield of 1 or 1 in the base case and 5 in the bull case. So just like corporate treasuries, they'll be under pressure to start putting more money into Bitcoin in emerging markets. This isn't just true for state treasuries. It's true for all populations that are affected by changes in their currencies and losing all of their wealth during hyperinflations. In the base case, we think that 3 of people in emerging countries give 3 of their assets to Bitcoin. In the bull case, we think that number rises to 10. Those are some of the cases. Another case is the Utility Economic Settlement Network case. In the base case, this makes up 5 of all settlements, and in the bull case, it makes up T's. That should give you an idea of how we came up with those 2 figures. And we think those are pretty safe predictions to make. What's going on with the ETF now? We know the SEC researchers, and I think they know what they're talking about. They're great. We have now met the head of FinHub, who works directly for Chairman Gensler. What I don't get is that they know so much and are so good that I think this was more Gary Gensler getting in the way. They would never say something like that, so I don't know for sure. I know they really understand Bitcoin because of how well they understand it from the times we've talked about it. The most important, that's Gary Gensler, why he let it happen. And I'll say he because I think he's the one who's getting something here. How can we let a Bitcoin futures ETF go through when not a Bitcoin ETF? Bitcoin ETF does not have partner risk. In fact, it's backed Ours would be backed by Bitcoin stored in cold storage at Coinbase in an equal amount. That's the reason Grayscale won. That's the point. That's why I think Gary Gensler's own Vietnam is coming back to bite him. I believe the SEC is now acting. He basically said, hey, I'm not the only one who makes decisions. There are 5 commissioners here with us. That means that some of the study we think is making its way up to those commissioners might be reaching them, and could now be the reason why a Bitcoin ETF should be approved. We don't believe the SEC will let just one go through. A group of them will probably be okay with them, so it will become a fight of marketing. We do hope that our research gives people something to think about, which is a big part of why we give our study away. It's part of our purpose and what we stand for. If we're lucky enough to be one of those chosen, we hope that helps you as you start selling.